Well, good morning again, Daniel Valdez again. No, this is not a drill. Yes, we're back. Good morning again, Daniel Valdez again. Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it. We're talking UIL rule proposal stuff. Marching Band Rules Advisory Committee is back in action, getting ready to get ready for the spring meeting. And there's some stuff we got to talk about. I'll talk about it real quick. Get out of your way. Remember to follow me on Instagram at Dan Valdez. Follow the TexasFans.com Facebook page. Can't wait to get this season started, and we're going to finish the damn podcast off strong at the end of 2024. So let's get after it. The UIL Marching Band Rules Advisory Committee held their fall 2023 meeting on December 6, 2023. Yes, they call it the fall meeting, even though it happens in December when it's still 95 degrees outside. So they went ahead. They talked about some stuff. UIL TMAA updates. That's your judging. That's your judging organization for UIL. So they went over stuff with them. A lot of the stuff we're talking about on this particular episode, this is actually going to be either voted on or going to be recommended to the UIL for a vote, depending on what surveys say and whatnot, on May 8th, 2024. That is going to be their spring meeting. So it's like the last thing they do before they close up shop for the spring season or semester or whatever. So old business 1 through 4, you've heard about these before because they were actually being authorized by the UIL to be studied and evaluated and everything like that. So pre-draw for area finals, top half, bottom half, the same thing that they do at BOA contests. Proposal to draw for and schedule state prelims based on area results. Don't really have any more information on that, but if I had to guess, it's probably, hey, if you win your area contest, they will either let you choose what time you want to go on for state, or you get to be put in the last block. I'm not exactly sure. Number 3, reconfigure the 5-judge system. So area contest, for everybody, and then your smaller conferences, 1A, 2A, 3A. It's 3 music, 2 visual, and that's it. This rule proposal would have those captions actually broken down. You'd have a woodwind judge, brass judge, a percussion judge, and on the visual side, you would have an ensemble judge and a individual judge. That would definitely alter and change the way areas viewed, because if you've listened to me in the past before, or you even look at the sheets, you could tell that it's a broad brush we're painting with the area contests. When you have 3 judges who are evaluating music, and each one of them has the exact same sheet, sometimes they line up and they agree, sometimes they don't, and that can make area results a little interesting, to say the least. So this would definitely alter the way we look at things and how those programs at area contests are evaluated. Now, this is a broad brush. This is saying, hey, we're going to reconfigure the entire 5-judge system. They could easily come back and say, hey, for the smaller conferences, for 1A, 2A, 3A contest, maybe it doesn't make sense to have a percussion judge that is only evaluating 2 or 3 people at a 1A program. Maybe it makes more sense to have it in the 4A, 5A, and 6A programs for the area contest there, because as we know, the 7-judge system is utilized for those 3 conferences at the state marching contest. And then number 4, proposal to modify the point structure at the 7-judge system. So basically at the state contest, what we're probably looking at is maybe put more emphasis on the ensemble brass deal than the individual brass, or however they want to change the point structure. Now, from what I was told, it's not going to change like the raw score or anything like that. So if you get first, and no matter how you break down the sub caption, the point brass, and the brass sub captions, the point structure there, at the end of the day, it's still, hey, you got first in brass, that's 1 point, that's 1 raw score for you, or hey, you got 10th in brass, that's 10 raw points for you, and then you add them up just like you normally do with all the other captions. So all 4 of those are being evaluated by the UIL. I'm sure at some point they will release those results, just like they did when we were evaluating whether to go to state every year. They sent that in. They put that out for everybody to see. The surveys are anonymous, but they do break everything down by conference. So I'm assuming we're going to see the exact same thing here. And if not, then who knows? It's the UIL. They can do whatever they want. So those 4, they are being studied. Be very interesting to see what happens at that point on May 8th. I'm sure they'll release those results. We'll see what happens there. And then at that point, they can discuss implementing that into the UIL Constitution. Yes, it is called the UIL Constitution because it is a state-run organization. So it's not the rule book; it's the Constitution. So with that being said, there are some of these rule proposals or these old business things that you see here on the screen if you're watching on YouTube. Some of these things will probably need to be implemented for the following year, probably 2025. Now, some of them could totally be implemented for this year. As far as changing judging systems and reworking that stuff, like number three and number four, that's probably going to take a year just because programs have already started to design their shows. They've already started to arrange their shows and whatnot. And changing the judging system now would not be beneficial to programs that have already started the process of designing and orchestrating and arranging their shows. So you want to probably give that a year. You probably, if you put it for implementation, you probably wait till 2025. That way, 2024, we put a bow tie on that. We go get away from there. And then 2025, we have the rules in place. We know what's being evaluated. We know what's not being evaluated, or what the points of emphasis are, and then you go from there. Now, as far as number one and number two, pre-draw for area finals and scheduling state prelims based on area results, those things could totally be implemented for this year. As long as UIL is able to put everything together and make a convincing argument for both, if they pass and they get implemented, I would not be surprised if you see, pre-draw for area finals. That's something that could easily be done. It's a very simple procedure manual, a procedure change that can happen at the area level. And then for state scheduling or whatever, instead of just posting out the randomizers like we do the Sundays after area contests, you probably have everybody just kind of whatever they decide to do. Whether you in your area, you choose which block you go in or what time or whatever. We're not exactly sure how that's going to work out. But one and two, if they get implemented and it goes through the process, it could be seen later this year. As far as three and four, you're probably looking at about 2025 for implementation. So there you go. Number five, here's something that could be put in this year: discussion of adding caption orders. Now we're just talking here. Discussion, that's a very important word. Discussion means we're just spitballing. We're throwing pickles against the window right now. We're just trying to figure out what the temperature is in the room. Caption awards, that's something that could be implemented. Imagine this, because there's 7 captions at state, and more than likely you're probably just going to have caption awards for the state contest. Now, for area contest, it's a little more difficult to do that just because you don't have set captions. It's not like a brass judge and then a percussion judge and a woodwind judge and so on and so forth. It's a little bit more broad at area, so I don't think they would implement that there just yet. But you could totally do it for state. Now, imagine this. I totally think this is going to pass, and I totally think they're going to put it in this year. But imagine state contest, state finals, you're on the field, state finals, and you're standing there, and you're nervous, and you're tired, and you're feeling 10,000 emotions because the season's almost over. And for some of you, it's the last time you're going to put on the uniform. Announcer gets on and said, "We're going to announce caption awards. Caption awards are awarded using tonight's state finals results." And they go down the list from Conference 6A. The award for outstanding music ensemble performance goes to Hebron. The outstanding award, the award for outstanding woodwinds goes to Flower Mound. The award for outstanding brass goes to Marcus. The award for outstanding percussion goes to Marcus. Now the crowd's freaking out because Marcus just won 2 captions. The award for outstanding visual ensemble performance goes to the Woodlands. Visual individual award goes to Vandegrift. And then the award for outstanding content design goes to Hebron. So yes, there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There were 5 different programs at the 6A State Marching Contest Finals last year that won captions. So you put all that out there, the crowd has no idea who won. And of course, we all know how that ended. Vandegrift got another state title. But imagine the excitement you would feel on that field. Imagine being in the stands and hearing that. I can't wait for this to go through. Please let this go through. I really want to make this happen. That is such a neat thing. It's always a neat thing when Bands of America does it, when they announce their caption awards. But imagine hearing all of that before they actually start announcing placement awards and whatnot. I mean, the energy, we would not have a dome on the Alamo Dome anymore. The roof would be blown off. we got to make that happen. That would be really, really, really neat. So, discussion of adding caption awards. It could happen. How do you award it? Is it a small trophy? Does everybody get medals for that? Probably a small trophy just for cost effective purposes. But don't, I can't wait. I hope this goes through. I have a good feeling that it will. Now, here's another big one. This is something that, again, it's just a discussion, but as you see, number 6 right there, all my guard people that are listening, they're like, I don't know. Would you be, I'll ask the guard people this, and feel free to chime in the comments. Would you want a guard caption for the state marching contest? This is my 5A and 6A programs. How would you feel about having a guard judge for the state contest? Now, for years, no matter what system, no matter who's putting on the system, one thing you're looking across the board, not just here in Texas, but the entire United States. The one thing that a lot of people are talking about, a big discussion right now, is if I've got a really good guard and I go to a state contest, or I go to this judging system, or I go to that judging system, it's hard for me to get points using that guard because, or I shouldn't say it's hard to get points. It doesn't feel like they're being properly evaluated. If you've got a really good guard, it almost feels like you're not getting as much credit as you think you should. And there is some merit to that. Absolutely. There are some fantastic guards out there all across the United States. Now, with that being said, I know that there were some feathers ruffled earlier in a couple of months ago. Some feathers were ruffled in the guard industry. We don't need to get into it, but we definitely there were some conversations that were going down. There's some conversations that are going on nationally, especially with programs that have, like, again, just have really, really good guards. Am I getting all the points for all the work that they're doing, for the, not just for the work that they are performing, but the excellence in which they are performing that work? The one great thing about this UIL system is that everybody's getting evaluated. I got a brass judge. They're going to just focus on the brass. They're not going to listen to anything else. I got a percussion judge, and I know the majority of my percussion people love that, just because of the attitude percussion people have. They want to throw down. They want you. Go ahead, find some dirt. I double dog dare you. The guard community, I pose that question to you. Do you want that judge evaluating you? Do you want him? Hey, this is what we got. We're going to turn out. We're going to turn loose. We're going to get it. Get after it. Any type of slogan you shout before then, get it, girl. Whatever. My old friend Mike Sloan, rest in peace, great mentor to me. He used to say, "Let's get crunk." He used to say that before every performance before we went out there, and it worked. It hyped a lot of people up. Do you want that guard judge out there? That's up to you. That's your caption. Personally, I would love it. Now, the other thing you have to evaluate here is not everybody has a guard. And I don't mean that metaphorically. Your 6A state marching band champion has a dance company. How do you evaluate that when you have a guard judge? Or do you change the wording on it? Do you say, like what the Texas Marching Classic has? They have best auxiliary. Call it auxiliary. So it encompasses guard, and if you happen to have a dance team, or you happen to, or like Reagan does when they integrate a color guard and a dance team, do you evaluate both, or do you just strictly guard? And you got to have, there's a lot to be discussed on there. How are you allowed? Are you supposed to be doing weapons and flags and sabers? Are you supposed to be doing all that? Do you have to do that? Is there a minimum of how much you have to do? That is all just up for discussion. That's why they call it a discussion. But yes, that was talked about at this particular meeting. Discussion of adding a guard judge. There's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to digest with that. But yeah, there are significant roadblocks. There's significant pluses to that. There's significant roadblocks in order to make that happen. Something that may get thrown out there, like, hey, maybe we have a guard judge, and maybe we do give a caption award for that, but the score doesn't count overall, which I'm sure guard people are not very would not be very happy with that. Why are you going to evaluate me if I'm not going to include me in the final score? Or do you take that guard judge concept and you integrate it with the content and design aspect? You actually write color guard in there into the sheets or whatever, visual ensemble or whatever. So there's a lot to be discussed there. Again, just throwing pickles against the wall right now. I don't like pickles. I don't like cherries either, but we got to talk about that stuff. Adding capture awards and adding the guard, and possibly, and this is probably a year or two, or maybe even 3 years down the road, possibly adding a guard judge for the 5A and 6A state marching contest. A lot to digest there. We don't know what the new business was. We don't know what the announcements were. Adjournment, I don't know. Maybe they all had went to the bar afterwards. I know I would have. Uh, so I am done here. That's it for the fall meeting. Those little notes right there. There's a lot to discuss. A lot of interesting stuff. Within the next couple of months, you're going to have some answers there, and hopefully they'll these rules will either go through or not go through, and the big concept or the big idea here is, hey, if we see something in the marching band activity for UIL that needs to be changed or needs to be implemented or needs to be a little tweaked a little bit, then by all means, then we need to have those types of discussions, which I'm so thankful that the UIL is willing to have those discussions. That's trying to keep an open mind about that stuff. One of my favorite phrases, it is free to listen. It is free to listen. So let's get those conversations going and let's see what happens. I'm done here. I will talk to you all very, very soon. Thank you all so much for your support. Thank you all who have reached out over the last month or two with the announcement. Yes, this is the final season of the damn podcast. I'm shutting it down. If you need answers to that, by all means, go ahead and jump on the social medias, and the explanations are all there. Can't thank you all enough. Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it. Take care. Adios. Bye bye.